First Alert Weather Extra on this unseasonably warm Monday evening for October at least. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. This is our all-weather show, doing a little abbreviated version back on our digital platforms this evening. And of course, one of the main reasons I know a lot of you tune in to Weather Extra. First, you want that little extra something, hence the name. And we do have a little extra something for you tonight, that being beyond the 7-day forecast. And what is beyond the 7-day? Halloween, y'all. So let's check it out. What are we expecting as we wrap up October and head into November? We'll check it out. The 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. If we look across central Alabama, you're like, what does that gray mean? Well, it means we could finally be seeing temperatures trending closer to average. Now, you'll notice a good portion of the country could be seeing below average temperatures as we get into November, and that does potentially include parts of far northwest Alabama, maybe getting into some of our places like Lamar County, Marion County, over into Winston County. But then you'll notice across southeast Alabama into the Wiregrass, South Georgia, into Florida, above average temperatures. So we're kind of in that fine middle ground right here where we're expecting next week, possibly around Halloween, a cold front to come through, and that should knock us back to maybe where we should be, a little closer to those average highs this time of the year. At least that's the general temperature trend. Remember, it can fluctuate day to day. So let's look at those potential high temperatures. This is taking us to the last Sunday of October this weekend, and it still looks like we could be seeing temperatures in the low 80s at least. But then once we get later into next week, getting farther into October, suggesting we could finally be seeing a cool down in the forecast. Now, this data that is coming in right now, it's actually trending warmer than what I saw earlier this afternoon when I made the forecast. This is the latest model run showcasing temperatures from our American model, and it's suggesting, well, maybe we could still see temperatures running a little warmer later next week, and that would be, by the way, going into November. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But generally the trend has been that, hey, we could be seeing a little bit of a cool down as we wrap up October and head into November. But that remains to be seen, right? That's why we tell you with beyond the 7-day, the forecast can and will change. It's not a guarantee. As we look at temperatures going into early next week, possibly still going to be a little milder, and then we see that cool down and eventual cold front coming in that could knock those low temperatures possibly a little below average. So we'll have to see how it all ends up playing out. I know the big question on everyone's minds is what could happen with Halloween, but here we go, looking at the potential as we head not just towards Halloween, but also into early November, above average precipitation. And that's certainly promising going into November because, as you know, we are under drought conditions right now. It doesn't look like we would be seeing a ton of rain on Halloween at this point, but we don't want to totally rule out there could be a few showers in the forecast. So first alert for that, maybe seeing a better chance of rain going into that first weekend or first week of November. Well, even though we have warmer temperatures this week, the cold weather will return and eventually stick around. This will force us inside along with pests like rodents and bugs. And we've been seeing a lot of those bugs here recently on top of Red Mountain. Lauren Harkson is on your side with how you can prepare now to avoid problems later.
If we could draw a graph, it follows the weather, and so as the weather drops, our calls go up.
Colder temperatures can mean more pests inside your home. Farmers Pest Control owner Alan Farmer says last week's cold snap caused a hike in calls.
So when it gets cold, the number one pest that we see are going to be rodents. Mice and rats of all kinds are going to be coming in this time of year. Number two is probably going to be what we call American cockroaches. Those are the large wood roaches that a lot of people have problems with. Those will start seeking shelter this time of year as well.
He says there's 3 main reasons: food, water, and
shelter. That's the number one reason why they're coming in, is to get away from the cooler temperatures. So it's a great time of year to be checking under your doors for gaps, any daylight that you see, and also checking your windows to make sure not only that they're closed, but that they're locked tight.
As far as water, Farmer recommends checking for any leaks, especially if you have a cockroach problem.
They have the nickname water bug, and most people use that because they're a little embarrassed to say they've got roaches in their homes. The nickname water bug comes from their dependency on water. Cockroaches can only go a few days without water, but they can go almost 30 days without food.
But that food is a big incentive for rats and mice, especially dog food or crumbs. Farmer says the big thing is to keep everything neat and tidy both inside and outside your home.
So the cleaner you can be in your home, specifically in the kitchen area, the fewer pests that you typically would have.
Well, we have, like I said, been seeing some bugs here around Red Mountain, but it's warmer now, so y'all stay outside. Don't be coming into our homes. Well, coming up next on First Alert Weather Extra, we have a little bit more in the show before we send you off into your evening. We'll be right back.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be into a tornado-safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Hey, a heartwarming story out of Selma today. A survivor of the January 12th tornado woke up this morning in her brand new home.
Put your blinders up.
Mona Bonner survived the January 12th tornado inside her old home that once stood in this same place. Family, friends, and volunteers from the disaster relief group Samaritan's Purse were there to dedicate the new home and hand over the keys over to a very thankful Miss Bonner. She took the time to remember that scary day when the tornado took her home away earlier this year.
I fell to the floor and went to calling Jesus, and he heard my call. I came out without a scratch, and when I came outside, oh Jesus, I have never seen nothing like that before in my life.
This is the first of 10 home dedications that the Samaritan's Purse is planning in Selma. Oh, we're so glad to see still recovery ongoing after that devastating tornado. And I think everyone will be very happy to know our weather is still going to be quiet as we round out October, but we need a balance, right? We could really use some rain back in the forecast. Unfortunately, over the next 7 days, just doesn't look like that's going to be the case just yet. We have been seeing some hints, as I was mentioning earlier, beyond the 7-day, maybe seeing the potential for some wetter weather as we get closer to Halloween and head into November, and maybe a cool down in the forecast as well. But for right now, the big story is it's going to be warmer and even drier in the days ahead. But at least the weather will be quiet, right? A mix of sun and clouds in the days ahead. If you've got any fall festivals or Halloween parties or just watching some college football, of course, you got the Magic City Classic this weekend. Weather is looking great for that, albeit a little bit unseasonably warm. But you can catch us back tonight after baseball on WBRC Fox 6 News for the latest on your forecast with Wes, and here on Weather Extra every weeknight at 6:30. Have a safe and happy Monday evening.